Hey everyone, this is Daniel, and in today's video I'm going to walk you through step by step on how to build the business card scanner. Now back in August of 2018, if you remember, I had given this demo. It's a video I put up of, hey, here's my business card scanner and here's how it works. And I got so much good feedback from you guys. You guys were excited about that, and many of you asked, hey, can you build us a step-by-step video? So I'm glad to say that here it is. Here's the video, and I do apologize for the delay. So now after I was thinking through, so how can I make a good video? I think I'm going to break this down into a three-step process. Step number one, it's just data connections. So I'll tell you, these are the data connections that you need and to build the app. Step number two is the app itself. So I'm going to walk you through how to build a Power App, and I'll hit the key features that you guys need. And then finally, step number three is the flow piece. So in the flow piece, I'll show you, here's how flow helps, and here's how the information is provided. So remember, it's going to be a three-step process. And so let's stop with this introduction and let's actually jump into building the app. All right, so in step number one, we're going to talk about connections. So right now we're going to focus on two connections. Later on, we'll get the last connection in. So in this section over here, the first connection is OneDrive for Business. Now, for the sake of this example, I'm using an Excel spreadsheet that is saved in OneDrive for Business to save all my data in. Now, you guys in your scenario could use Common Data Service, SQL sitting in Azure OneDrive, Azure, and it's completely up to you what the backend is. For the sake of simplicity, and also to provide you the data, I'm just using Excel and OneDrive. Second thing is I also need to do Cognitive Services Vision API. Now, this is a connector that's already available, but you need to go ahead and get some work done on Azure Cognitive Services Vision, and I'm going to walk you through that right now. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do is I've already gone ahead and logged into my Azure services, and that's my account over there. And in Azure services, as you can see, I've got a whole bunch of this, but we'll just ignore that for now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and create a resource. In the resource, you can actually go ahead and type that in. I'm just going to go to AI and machine learning. In AI and machine learning, I'm going to go on computer vision. Now, once you go to computer vision, you can go ahead and create all the stuff that you want, create everything new. I'm not going to go ahead and do that, but I'll show you what I've already done. And just make sure that all your subscription is correct, location is correct, pricing, that's however you want to pick. It's completely up to you. But what I want to show you is the final piece. So in the final piece, once you've got everything selected, I am going to go to my Cognitive Services Vision. And in Cognitive Services Vision, you can either just go to the quick start over here, or you can go to Overview. And in Overview, what you want to do is go ahead and get your Manage Keys. Now, I'm not going to click on that right now because then you guys will be able to see my key. But what I want to make sure is that you click over here, and you'll be given two keys. Pick either one of them because that's what you need. That's one thing. You also need to know what your endpoint connection is. So if I were you, just go ahead and copy. When you scroll, take your mouse over there, you can click on copy over here. That's what information you need. And then you click on keys and get copy of one of the keys. So get that two information over there. And then once you do that, then you come over here to your to your Power Apps. And actually, I'm going to switch over in your Power Apps. And in the Power Apps, make sure you're in the correct environment. And that's key because in that environment, that's the one that you're going to use for the Power Apps. That's the one that you're going to use for the flow. So pick an environment and stick with it. So once you get that, I'm going to go to Connections over here. Now in Connections, when I click on it, right now that's all I have. So I need to do two things. I need to go over here, and I'm going to click on OneDrive for Business. And in my OneDrive for Business, most of the time for everybody, it should just be, you just go ahead, create it, and you're pretty much done. It might just you have a pop-up window over there and just confirm your authentication. That's fine. Go ahead and do that. That's exactly what it's doing over here. And I am going to move this one window. Actually, while that's going on, yep, I'll go ahead and pick an account. That's the account. So we're all done over there. Perfect. That data connection is done. And for the next one, I'm going to move this guy around because I can just do a quick copy and paste, and that way you guys can see my information. All right. The next one is Connections. In Connections, I click on that. I'm already here. click on new connection, and I'm going to search for, if I just do cognitive or if I just do vision might be better. Yeah, there you go. Computer vision API. Click on that. And it's asking for the key and the site URL. So go over here, grab my key, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just skip this step because I don't want you guys to see it. But that's what you do. Remember, go back to your Azure, pick up that key, paste that key over here, and then also go pick that site URL, paste that site URL, and click on connect. So I'm going to pause away and I'm going to quickly fast forward to the next one so you guys don't see that. And so here we go. I've got the two things. I've got my OneDrive, and I went down and got my computer vision API. And so I've got the two data connections set up over here. Towards the step number 3, we'll also be creating the third data connection, but we'll do that when we actually do the full piece. So once again, in this step over here, we went ahead and made the data connections. And just to recap, we did 2 of them. We did OneDrive, and for me it was OneDrive because that's where my Excel spreadsheet is going to sit. You guys can make a connection to anywhere else in your backend. And then the second data connection was to computer vision API, cognitive services. And just make sure that you go into Azure, create your subscription for that, and once you go ahead and take care of all that, get those 2 things, your URL, or that's the endpoint connection, and then the key over there. All right, so now that we've taken care of the data connection, let's go ahead and start building that Power App. So step number 2. Step number 2, we are going to go ahead and build the app. So building the app, we're actually going to build a mobile app because it makes sense, right? We want to go ahead and build a mobile app on a smartphone to take the picture of a business card. So in this section now, this will be a little lengthier process, but I want to walk you through step by step on how I do that. And I'll be looking back and forth over here and also looking at my existing app to kind of compare some notes. So don't mind if I do that. All right, so let me jump in now and take a look at the app key. Remember, I am sticking to that same environment, so make a note of your environment. Remember, we just went ahead and made our data connections in that environment, so don't forget about that. Okay, so one of the things is I want to make sure my existing app is available for me to review. And now I'm going to go ahead and create an app, and this is a Canvas app. So in the Canvas app here, first things first is we'll make sure we pick and choose the correct size, and I'm going to make it as a phone layout. So that's opening up. And it's getting things ready and loading, which is all for the first time. So I'm going to go ahead and skip that. And as always, we go ahead and say the business card scanner. Change the name to make it a little bit more interesting, and we go ahead and save it. Number one thing I've been training myself is when I build an app, come up with the layout and everything, and then go ahead and save it, because after that all the auto saving starts. Before that, it's not going to start. All right, so one of the first things I also want to do is let me just go ahead and get some nice background. So I'll just get to the media, go browse. In the browse, I'll get the link, make sure, and get a background image. So at least you can make it nice, and again, this is not by any means necessary. It just gives it a little extra to the look and feel, and I'll go ahead and stretch it. All right, so this one I'm going to call that as screen, main screen, I guess I'll call it main screen. And then I'm also going to duplicate that. And in the duplicating, this will be our scan screen. Let's spell that correctly. All right, and the main screen over here on the top, I'm just, right now I'm just going ahead and making it all nice and clean. And then later on we can go ahead and start adding the things to it. But let me just finish off some of the quick things. Look for rectangle there, right up over here. Usually 70 is my personal favorite. change the rectangle to top, and in the rectangle itself I'm going to insert a couple of things. One is going to be a label, and label, I'll put that in as contact information, center white. I think that's good to start with. I'll put that as top label. Let's see, make it a little bit smaller. That's fine, so I can center that. And now let's go ahead and get some icons. In the icon, the only one I want to add right now is the erase one, and this will all make sense later on. Erase icon. All right, I think we are good to start with right now. Go ahead and save that. And now I want to start getting in some of the controls to save the information. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to copy a lot of these over here. So in the first one, it's going to be, let's see, I'm going to call this as name. Yeah, actually, let's leave it at that much for now. Let's change its fill to something a little bit more nicer. Let's go with a little something dark. Theme. I'm gonna do another one for email, phone, and social media. So I may have to make this a little bigger. Email, phone, and social media. And we can leave it at that for now, and then yeah, we'll work with that. So let's do, I'm gonna call that as more info. Okay, so now let's go and start dropping in some text input. Now in the text input, this is going to be a little bit more interesting. So let me widen this a little bit, zoom in, because we may have to increase this guy a little bit more. Yeah, let's go with 400. Make this guy 402. Text one, I think the width, the height. Let me see, what did I put in my app? The height, I put that in as 60. So let me do the same thing here. 60, I think I took off the radiuses. Yeah, much better. Okay, so this one over here, that's gonna be, leave this guy as blank. And then the hint, I'm going to say, add your company name here. I'm going to copy that, paste that below, and the other one, actually, well, let's just do that. What I'm going to do is get a plus sign, the button, and in the button make sure it is the exact here, and I'm going to call this as company name button. This is just going to be company name text. Now button, my personal favorite is I take off the curves over here, so it's just a flat one. Taking off the button, and I'm putting a plus sign. I mean a plus over here, so that just makes it nicer. Yeah, let's see if I can bring that down to say 18, maybe even lower, bring it to say 16. Yeah, that looks nicer. Okay, let me mind this app here. The reason I wanted to do all that is, now that I have this one good over here, let's go ahead and copy it for the other ones. So Control C, Control V, didn't work. Control C, Control V, bringing that down a little bit. This is going to be my first full name. Let's just call that as full name button. And this is full name text. Change this guy to add your full name here. And also put in a postal address. So you see what I'm doing over here. I'm just making it easier to copy and paste. And I made sure I got the first one right, so all the other ones are just easier. And then address, I'm going to pull that out a little bit. And do it when you've got both of them already selected. That just makes it go a little bit nicer. Address, we got to make a few changes. First thing is change the text. Add your address here. Just to be on the safe side, we'll say postal address, because address could mean so many things. And in address, we're not doing single line of text, we're doing multiple line of text. So change that, make sure you change that. And then I'm going to always make my label names and controls, rename them over there, postal. It just helps in the future, especially when you start making expressions and formulas. You literally want to know what it is that you're changing. And last but not the least, save it. Business card scanner. Make sure I have all my connections over here. Yep, I did. For a minute, I thought that I was in the wrong environment, putting in the wrong connections, but I just double checked. If you have that slide out too, go ahead and check it right now. Okay, so I need to add some more information away in the social media. I'm actually going to add four more. So what I'll do is I'll just do a quick copy paste of these guys. Control C, Control V. Pull them down here and do the same thing for them. Control C, Control V. Pull those guys here. And then let's go ahead and start naming these over here. So this is going to be for my email address. This is phone number. And this one is going to be for a Twitter handle. And your website URL. Okay. And let's go ahead and start changing these information here. Add your email address here. Address, phone number, Twitter handle. company name, Twitter handle. Alright, the app actually is taking shape. I'm already liking it, so I'm gonna keep it as it is. And you guys, based on your company's branding and everything, you can always go ahead and change, name and all that, and colors and everything. But I just want to walk you through how, what I did, and then from here on, when you're building it, definitely go ahead and play around with its look and feel and branding, and change it to what matches for your company. All right, so there. Now, I gotta add 2 buttons, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that as well. One button is gonna be on the top, so let me go ahead and do that one. Button on the top. This button, I'm gonna call that as a scan button. Change that to scan. Bring that down a little bit, maybe. Buttons, I want to take off. I take off the radiuses. I sometimes even take off the curve, the actual, border. If you like the radiuses, you like the border, keep it as it is. No harm, no foul. Need to get this guy down. This is going to be the final submit. I can make him a little bigger. Change that to the submit button. Okay. Now I'm going to minimize this, and for now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a gallery added over here, and this gallery might look a little different for now, but I'm just going to go ahead and add it because it'll all make sense. So what I'm doing in this gallery is I'm going to actually get the vertical one. I need a vertical one, and I'm going to rename that to scanned gallery. And in the gallery, I'm changing the layouts. I actually only want one to begin with. So again, if I meant to quickly, it's the gallery layout, which was the one which was titled. It's still the vertical one, but it's the one that's titled, right? Keep that in mind. I'm going to minimize a lot of this for here. Bring it as much down as I can. And I'll keep it kind of at the same level as this one here. And then what I need to do is I want to get rid of the arrow. Delete the arrow. I'm clicking inside, either one of them, either the title or the separator. I'll make sure you click into it. What I want to do is in the controls, I want to add a checkbox. So just make sure that that checkbox actually showed up in there. And it did. We're going to have to play around with some of the sizes, because I definitely don't want a checkbox text, so I'm taking that out. I am also going to reduce the size of the checkbox. So in the size here, actual checkbox size at 70. Let's see, what did I put that as? I put that as, my checkbox size was, what did I put that as? Checkbox size, all right, 50. So let's change that to 50. Yeah, it looks much better. Nice and small. And then here, I'm going to keep that as it is. I might bring that down to 16 for now. Checkbox, I can move that up a little bit. Okay, so let's just keep all of this as it is. I'm going to go ahead and publish it too. Okay, so I think we're good on the main screen. Let's go to the scan screen. Scan screen is a little interesting. And I'll show you a couple of things that I need to add in the scan screen. So in your case, just like we did before, went ahead and copied, duplicated the two screens, and just make sure you add the background over there. In the scan screen, actually, the background may not be necessary, but just gonna keep that in mind. All right, so here is the key thing. Make sure you add the correct media control. In the button, in the first video I had done, I used something called as the add picture media. That doesn't work anymore. I cannot explain why. I just don't know it doesn't work. So we're going to switch that to the camera one. So for the camera one, I kind of go ahead and expand it all the way. So let me just minimize this guy a little bit. Fill up the screen. So I'm going to use that. And if you notice this text over here, when you're building it, it'll actually show your image over here. Right now, it's just saying that your camera isn't set up or you're using it already. It's because I'm doing this recording. That's why. When you're using it, your video will come up over there. You know, if you've got a video camera up over there on your laptop or something, if there's a light next to it, the light comes up and says it starts recording. In mine, it's actually not, which is fine. All right, so I'm going to do that. I'll keep the name as it is, and then I'm going to add a button on top. Now, here's the tricky and the fun thing about the button is you want to actually cover the entire screen with the button. And the reason I do that is so that it really makes it easier for you know, if you have the full screen and when you're taking a picture of your business card, you don't have to go to this one particular area to click on the button. I'm doing it this way so you can just click on it anywhere in the screen because the whole screen is a button as well. But here's the funny trick to it. I am actually going to now change the name from button to click. Let's increase that the name, the actual font size. So the font size, the text, I go on the text and I change the text to 40. So I'll go here on the button. I'm going to text, and I change the font size to 40. It's nice and big. But the next thing is the fill. Let's go to the fill. I can do it over here. And on the fill, I put that way. There's no fill, but you can still see the text. So this actually has a really good effect on it, that when you take the picture and you're scanning to take the picture, you will still see the top with that link. Click on it because that's one big button. But the beauty of that, remember, like I said, is now that whole screen is a button, so you don't have to specifically go and try to click on it or something. Just click on anywhere in the screen because that's your button. So I'm going to go ahead and do that over here, and then on the button itself, let's see, on select, do I need to add anything? And I do, but what I can do now is first we need to go ahead and just double check some things. I'm gonna save that. I can even go ahead and publish it. Okay, so what let's pause over here now, and we'll go ahead and now build the flow piece, because that's the one section is in the flow piece. We got to go and send the image. So whatever the scan is happening, we'll go ahead and send the image over there in the flow piece, and then we'll come back over here and finish it off. So I'm going to pause over here for the Power Apps piece. Let's jump into step number 3 to actually build the flow section over here, and then we'll towards the end pick up where we left off and finish up the Power Apps piece as well. Step number 3. So here we're going to use Flow to go ahead and do object character recognition, or OCR, to text for the business card using Cognitive Services Vision. Basically what that means is when we take the picture of that business card using the Power Apps, we're going to send that over to Flow. Flow is going to go ahead and use Cognitive Services Vision to analyze that picture and do object character recognition to transfer everything from that image to text. I'm going to send that back to Power Apps. Now, I have seen some videos where people were able to go ahead and just take the image and then go ahead and use a connection for a vision directly in the Power App itself. I wasn't able to get that done successfully. Maybe they were in the past or whatnot, but I just couldn't do that successfully there. So I just leveraged Flow because Power Apps and Flow have such a good bond together that it works really well, and I still achieved the same outcome. So let's go ahead and now take care of the flow piece, and the flow is really simple. What we have to do is all of these 4 steps. So I'm going to go ahead and now build these same 4 steps into our the flow that we are building over here. So again, the same thing. I've got my flow, in the next screen over there. So I might just go back and forth. So don't mind that. So let's go ahead and now build that. So here I am. I need to just open up and go to flow. May not need to authenticate, but if you do, that's fine. And we just need to do 4 steps over here. There's some key things I want you guys to focus on this as well, but I'll kind of walk you through that and basically how that works. Again, making sure I'm in the same environment, my Power Apps and Flow. I mean the Power Apps that I built. The Power Apps I was in environment Contoso, so my flow also is in the environment Contoso over here. So next I'm going to go and I'm going to create from blank. Again, come over here, create from blank, and I'm going to go ahead and give it a name. So I'll call this as Scan Business Cards, and here I'm going to search for Power Apps. So I just search for Power, and here's Power Apps over here, and on Power Apps I'm going to just click on that first Power App section. So this, you don't need to do anything on that step, just leave it as it is. But in the next one, I am going to now search for Compose. Do the Compose over here, and I'm going to click on those 3 dots or the ellipsis, and I'm going to just rename that to Convert Image. So as I'm doing that, some of you guys might be thinking, is Daniel, what exactly are you converting? Why are you converting the image? Well, that's just a Power Apps to Flow kind of a transfer thing. When Power Apps takes an image, it takes an image in one type of format. And when you do that handoff from Power Apps to Flow, you kind of have to convert that format. I do not know why that has to be done, but all I know is this has to be done. Otherwise, the Power Apps and the Flow don't talk to each other. So just keep that in mind. That's why I'm using this compose function, because compose, literally, I am composing the image to Power Apps from what Power Apps transfer that over to Flow. Now there is a formula which you have to use for that, or an expression is a correct term that you have to use for that. And I want to give a big shout out to John Liu. He's the one who came up with this expression over here. So I didn't invent that. I literally stole that off John Liu. So big shout out for John Liu on that. So the expression we are going to use is over here. And first thing is just click in that inputs area over here and just select on Ask in Power Apps. That's the first thing it's going to do, is Ask in Power Apps, and it comes up with this input which is converts_inputs. You just want to know what that is. If you've done it exactly the way I've done it, you'll pretty much get the same name as well. If you don't get the same name, don't worry, it might just be something different. Just make sure that you have something available over here. Again, don't worry if the name is different. That can happen and it's completely fine, but you just make sure that you've already done that. All right, so now what I do next is actually go into the expression piece over here, and in the expression piece you want to search for data URI to binary. So I just started typing in DAT, and then the IntelliSense already picked it up and said data URI to binary. That's what you want to pick on. Then I open the brackets, and then when I open up the bracket, it already puts in the close. So here's a little trick that I'll show you. When you open up the brackets came in, your cursor was inside, and then there's a little comment section that comes up, and the comment section makes it a little bit difficult to see. So just hit the arrow to go outside it, and the comments disappear, and then you can go back inside it, and then the comment shows up again. Once you're in, make sure that your cursor is in that bracket. Go back to the dynamic content and select that image. I mean, that Power Apps convert to image that you just did. Again, go make your cursor, make sure it is inside that bracket over here. Inside, you can see my cursor is blinking. That makes sure that I'm inside the bracket. And now I go ahead and click on this, and it's going to give you this whole big long expression. It's this trigger body, open brackets, close brackets, and the convert to image. That is exactly what you need to see. Number one, if I can give you a better idea, or best idea over here in Flow, is to go ahead and copy and paste it. So here's what I'm doing. I'm taking my cursor, I'm putting it wherever, I'm hitting the home button. If you don't have a home button for whatever reason, just make sure that you slide all the way to the beginning. Hold your shift button down and hit the end button, because you want to highlight the whole thing and do a Control-C for copy. Once you've done that copy, you want to come back to your convert image over here and just click on add comment and paste it with the Control-V. The reason you want to do this is that now you have a copy of the formula, because for whatever reason, when you reopen a flow, even after you've done this, that expression disappears. I do not know why that happens. It does happen. It happens to me. It'll pretty much happen to you as well. And so you don't need to go ahead and put that expression in again. Click on that, go to expressions, go ahead and type in data UI. You don't need to do any of that. This is the main reason I tell you, is that go ahead and copy that in and put it in the comments, because when you come back in the future, you just copy and paste it from that. You are going to thank me for telling you how to do this. I guarantee you that. All right, so now what I didn't do was in my expression, I didn't save it. So I'll just go ahead and do that over here. See, I totally didn't save it, so I have now already saved myself some time. And I do that, and I click on OK. This is what I need. I don't need that, so I'm going to go ahead and X out of that one. And just to be on the safe side, I'm going to go ahead and save it, so I don't lose that information. But we're not done yet, right? I still need to go to the next step. In the next step, just start typing in optical. And you get 2 optical character recognitions. You want to do the OCR to text, like the one over here. Select that one. And once you select it, for some reason, mine doesn't have, it's not picking up the data connection. I might have actually saved the data connection somewhere else. Let me just double check that. Nope, it already has it here. So that's fine. Let me X out of this one. It should have automatically picked that up. And oh, you know what? I'm in the wrong one. It was Contoso org over here. That's just Contoso. Lesson learned, right? I put it in the completely wrong one over here. That's fine. Maybe that's just a good one. So let me just do that over real quickly, and then you guys can just watch to see if in case I'm doing something wrong. First things first, Power Apps, and see you can understand how much I could have saved myself some time if I just paid attention to what I did. Actually made the mistake I was telling you guys not to make. That's fine. Compose, rename, convert image, in here, ask in Power Apps, got the same name. I am going to do a data URI to binary. And the trick that I showed you, I'm going to show it again. I just put the open brackets. You get this big long format and big long explanation, which is good because you need to see that expression. I'm just going to hit the arrow, which it points to the right, so the cursor comes out of it. Bring the arrow back over here. Go to dynamic content. Click on that. And now I have my formula or my expression, but I'm just going to copy it. And close that guy out. Come back over here. Add comment. Save it. Now this time I should see my optical character recognition. So click on that. Optical OCR to text. Yep, this time it's perfect. And then here I'm going to use the first source, which is image content. And in the image content, I'm going to use this one. See that convert image is the same as the convert image over here. So I'm going to click on that output. And then the final step is I'm going to respond back to Power Apps. Respond to Power Apps. And when I do that, I'm going to select that, and I'm just doing a text. I'm doing a text return. Here for the title, I'm just going to type in as text. But here, I want to get the detected text. That's the outcome of this action. I'm doing the detected text. Just make sure that you have actually saved, given that flow a name. Sometimes I tend to forget that. If you've forgotten it, go ahead and make sure you give that flow a name. And I'll go ahead and click on save. And once it's saved, that's it. We're done with the flow piece. The flow piece is done. we'll switch back to Power Apps, and in Power Apps we'll go ahead and now connect to the flow, and in the flow we'll go ahead and wire up the remaining part of the connection and get all of that done. So I'm going to stop over here in this section of it, and let's jump back to the flow piece. So we finished up the flow piece. Now let's jump back to our Power Apps, make the connections over there, and then finish off the entire build over here of the app. So we're just at the final lap over here. We're almost done. So just let's go ahead and kind of wrap up the whole process. So here's the flow that we built. Just gonna go ahead and get out of it. And then we jump back to our app, and now in the app we're gonna tie up all the loose ends. So one of the things I could have done before was on the select of this button, all we are doing is we're actually going ahead and jumping to the next screen. So on the select of that scan button over here, all you need to do is make sure you're on the button, make sure you're on select over here, and all I'm going to do is type in navigate and jump to the next screen, and that screen was scan screen, and I'll just do that as a cover, and that takes care of that button over here. So let's just assume that we've clicked on it and we are in the next screen. In the next screen, I'm going to jump over, come on, to the next screen, and over here on the button we've got to go ahead and actually now do something. So in the button itself, I want that flow to kick off. The flow we built, I want that flow to kick off when I've clicked on this button. And the way you do that through Power Apps is you make sure you click on that button over here, click on that action, and you click on flows. So the moment I click on flows, Power Apps is now going and checking on my flows that, hey, I need to go and see if Daniel has got any flows with that Power Apps first trigger option over there in that environment. And it did. It picked up the flow that we just built, which is the business card scanner, and I'm going to go ahead and click on it. Now, it is the number one rule is that you want to go ahead and do this first, because watch what happens. Is the moment I click on that, it is actually going to go ahead and connect to it, which is perfect. And then it doesn't care if on the on select, if it was something over here, it doesn't care. It just wipes the whole thing off and replaces it with that. So that's why I just out of practice and doing this so many times, I go ahead and do this step first, because I know that if I took the time to go ahead and write a whole bunch of expressions over here, all of that's going to get wiped off by this one over here. So this is now, we've gone ahead and made that connection over here. What I want to do now is tell what's the image that's going over here. And the image that's going is whatever we click on that. And key thing is I'm going to go ahead and type in camera 1, because that's the name of this control, camera 1. And in camera 1, I am not using photo, I am using stream. Again, I am not using photo, I am using stream. So it was stream over here. I'm going to go and close it. But now, the way the flow was built is we go and send it an information. It goes ahead and goes through the compose, goes ahead and changes the image format. Then it runs through the cognitive services, and it returns that information back. So we need some place on this Power Apps to accept that return information back. And in order to do that, I'm actually going to go ahead and build a collection. So here's how I'm going to do that. I'm going to first put a comma over here, and then I'm going to type in clear collect, and then in clear collect I'm creating a connection, and I'm going to call that as scanned images. That's perfect over here. This part is also perfect, and I can just go ahead and now close this. So that takes care of that. And after that, I am going to navigate. It's not full colon, it's a semicolon, and I'm going to navigate back to the first screen, which is the main screen, comma, and I'll just do a fade this time. So just as a recap again, make sure that in the button you've not put any of those expressions over there. You've actually gone ahead and first made that connection, because in that connection it'll just overwrite with any information that you have with that, with the business card scanner one we did. Second thing was use the camera.stream, don't use the camera photo, and then you navigate back. One more thing in the stream, in the camera over here, in the camera, its stream rate, I tend to keep it at the lowest one, and in this case I'm going to do 100. The reason for that is when you're streaming and you're taking the picture of the camera, you'll actually see that in your camera itself that it's going to look a little bit more slower, and that's a good thing, because when it takes a when you're able to see your card, you take a picture, but just by clicking on that, it gives you a little bit more time to go ahead and select that image. So in case even if you shake or if you move it around, the camera doesn't process that because it doesn't stream that fast. So keeping the streaming at the lowest, which is 100, actually helps you, and you'll get a good feel of that when you actually do a testing. So I'm going to keep that stream rate to 100. And at the end of the day, you change that around to what you feel is right, but I'm going to go with 100 over here. All right, so that's, now that we are done, first things first, go ahead and save it. And once the saving is done, I'll go back to the main screen. And now here, now that I have a gallery created, that scanned image gallery, I'm going to now make this image come up to that gallery. So we're going to go back over here, and in the gallery there's a trick that I'm going to show you because that really helps. So let me talk about that for a second. When that information is going to come from Power Apps, from Flow, it's going to be a whole bunch of text, right? It's just, OCR goes ahead and scans the entire card. It finds all this text and it's going to send that back to us. Now we want that text all broken down over here because I want to be able to select, that this looks like the first name, so I'm going to check that box and then I'm going to hit that add button. Whatever is checked at any time, and I click that add button, I want that thing, that show up over here. So for example, if I look at all this gallery, and in any way in this gallery I find a company name, I'm going to select that box and I'm going to hit that plus button. That's how the app works. That's the exact thing I showed in the video as well. But in order for me to do that, I want that text broken up over here, because I don't want it such that all the text shows up on the company name and I just hit delete, 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 or backspace. And in order for that to happen, here's how you do that. So I'm going to use something called as a split function. Split function goes ahead and takes all the data and splits it up into the gallery. So what I do is I first start with the split function, then I type in first, and in the first, I'm taking in the scanned images. I'm going to close that, and I'm going to type in text. And then in text, I separate that and I use something called as the character 10. What character 10 does is it goes ahead and recognizes, what's that? Yeah, that's fine. We'll go and keep it at that. What character 10 it does is it goes ahead and it sees that if there is any gap, I want to go ahead and separate that gap off to the next area of the gallery. That split function with the combination of the character text with the character 10 is what's going to break off all the text which is coming in from OCR into different rows in this gallery. That's the key thing. So once again, let's just take a look at that. In the gallery over here, you're going to first use the split function. In the split function, you go ahead and add the text that came in from Flow. And then you say, okay, this is the text, but I want you to break it down. Anyway, there's a space or there's a enter or something, there's a space, break that down into the next line, and that's how it works over here. Now, I also want to take a look at this error, and I think I know what that error is. And if you guys see it as well, here's what you want to do is you want to type in, click on the title, and the title still goes to this item sample heading. Just delete that and select result. That's how that works. That took care of that error over here. I'm gonna go ahead and save it, and I'll go ahead and publish it as well. So what we could do at this point right now is we could actually do a little test to see how this works. So I'm going to pause over here for a second. I'll open up my app in my phone. I'll show you how that works. So you can go ahead and save your app too as it is, and you can do the testing. And in my testing, I'm actually showing you right now. I've gone ahead and you can see my phone directly because that's what I'm doing. I'm going to go to Power App, and I've logged in as my test account over there. So it's opening up, and in my test account, this one over here, the business card scanner, which is in that Contoso, this one over here, that's the one that I'm going to click on. The first time it goes ahead and does the downloading, opening. The first time it'll also go and ask you, hey, can we use your camera? And I'm going to say allow. I also need to grab my a card that I have, and I'm going to now click on scan button on the top. That scan button takes me straight to the screen, and you can see two things, right? You can see that I've got the click button already there, which is perfect. Now let me just try. So I hold the card, looks good, and I can now click on anywhere on the screen. Clicked it, the image is going to flow. You can see those and type of screens on the top. It's going to flow. Flow is going to run, and it's going to send us some information back. And when the information is sent back, it comes back straight to the next screen. So this works out really well. And so I wanted to show you guys how this section is working over here, because now we're not done with it. What we need to do is we need to come up with where once I click on this area over here, I want that whatever box I selected, that needs to come to the full name over here. This, whatever would be the company name, that needs to be coming over to different sections. So I can see that this is the cell phone number. So when I click on that box, and if after that I go and click on this plus button, that number needs to come over here. That can be the company name. So if I click on that, that can be the company name, so on and so forth. So that's the next step you want to do. But if you are able to see this just like the way I'm seeing on that, you've already done a great job, because everything is working. You went ahead and did the OCR, the information coming in. So great job. But let's just finish up the tail end of it. So I'm going to now just go ahead and close this app. Let me go ahead and close Lonely Screen, and we'll pick up the last piece of the puzzle. Let me just exit out of this one, Excel. And so let's come back over here, and I want to finish up the last piece is in this section. Also, let's just take a look over here. I saw some of it had some information. It was looking, so we can do some cleaning up over here. Maybe I can make that to 14, but we'll work on that later. But I want to work on this section over here. So what is that button going to do? So what that button is going to do now is, for each and every one of them, we need to add some formulas. And the way I want to do this is I want to make sure that for each of these fields over here, I'm actually going to create a variable, and I'm going to keep adding information into that variable. Because there were some sections over there where there were two phone numbers. There could be a regular office phone number and a cell phone number. I want to go ahead and add both of those into just this one area over here. Same thing could happen with the address, because you don't know how the data got split. It could just be the entire street address, could come into this one section over here. It could be that the city got into another section. And so I want to keep clicking on that button and get all those information into just one field over here. So that's why I am going to now use this formula. Let me show you that. First button over here, that's for the company name. So for the company name, I'm going to now add this formula. So it's here on select. There you go, on select. And paste it in. And what this does is I've created now a variable called company name text variable. In company name text variable, I'm going to use concatenate. In concatenate, I'm saying that in the company name text variable, whatever was the scanned title, which is this area, in the gallery, the text is called as title2. So whatever was selected over there, I want you to go ahead and now add it to this company name text variable. And then I'm going to make this over here, its value, its default value for that one is going to be the exact same thing, company name text variable. Get that? Are you a little confused? All right, let's do another one. It'll make sense. Same thing over here. And this plus button, let's do the other plus button. I'm going to copy the formula from my app. I'll post it over here. Again, on this one's on select. Paste it. And what I've now made another variable using the select function, and I call that as full name text variable. And in full name text variable, I'm going to keep concatenating every items that I select, anything which I select over here, the title2 being just the name of that control title2. Every time I select it, it's going to concatenate back into what's called as a full name. And the reason I do that is because if that split function splits up the first name and the last name, now I can just select the first name, check that box, hit that button, it'll add it over here. I go select the second name, hit that button, and it just concatenates back over here. So I think it's going to make a little bit more sense. And and once we do this, we'll do that same thing. We'll go ahead and scan this business card again, and we'll see exactly how it works. This expression needs to be there, or this formula needs to be there for each and every one of those. So let's go ahead and start adding them all in. And obviously, this one, his default is going to be the same one which you did, was full name text variable. Okay, keep moving forward. I'm going to, on this button over here, and I'll provide the expressions or these formulas in the Power Apps user group. I'll have my community, I didn't have to copy the whole thing, just wanted to copy on select. These expressions and formulas will be over there, so you guys can see that. And I call that as auto address. So here, his default will be auto address. Keep moving forward. It's email address variable. Phone number. On select. And this one will be the phone number variable. Its default is the and same thing over here, Twitter handle on select, and then this one's default will be Twitter handle variable. I really like this IntelliSense because I just start typing it in and it just gives me options. That makes my job to build the app so much more easier. Here's the last one, on select. And then its default will be website variable. Save that. Go ahead and publish it. And then last, actually delete that button because I don't need that. And the last piece we can do is on the submit. We go ahead and use the update concatenate function over here. But before we do that, let's do another test real quick to go back to the app, and we'll see how that works. So I'm gonna go back to my lonely screen over here. I'll open up the app. Just do that twice, and then also click on the app. That way, when you click on it, if you see opening and uploading, that means that it's giving you a fresh version of the copy over there. All right, so now I'm going to click on scan, which is the button up on the top. Put me back to this place over here. So I'm going to now try to get a good picture. Okay, it's in position, and now I can just click on it. Sends the image to Flow. Flow is going to send us some information back. And we've got some good information over here. Anytime you don't feel like the information is good, you can always click on scan, because I really don't like what I've got over here. Let me try to take another good shot. So I clicked it, send it back. It's going to send it back to Flow. And the gallery, that's why I did the clear collect in the gallery, because it goes ahead and gets you a good one. See, I like this more because I've got, you know, good variations over there. So now I'm going to actually click on that one and that box, because whatever I want selected, whatever I want added to the company name, that's the one that I'm going to go ahead and select first. Actually, yeah, the company name is Microsoft, so I'm going to check that box, and then I'm going to click on the plus one over here. So watch, I hit on Microsoft, and then I'm going to hit the add company name button over here, and I got the Microsoft. Next thing is full name, so I'm going to check that box, and I'm going to hit on that button over here. So I'm going to check on Chad, and I'm going to hit on add full name. Now postal address, this is a great example of a postal address, because I've got one address here and one address here, but I can select one of them, add that button, select the other one, and add that button. So watch what happens. You scroll up a little bit, it's a gallery. I'm going to select that one, I'm going to add that button. Next, I'm going to select this one and add it back over here. That is why the concatenate came in so handy. Is it all making sense now? Watch what happens. Do that. See? I mean, that is just fantastic. I really loved how this works. So let's keep going on. I'm going to go ahead and now, I got email address. I do have an email address over here. I'm going to grab that one, add an email address. I'm going to go and phone number. I see there's a phone number over here. There's a cell number. Go ahead and add that. I can even go ahead and get the other office number. Go ahead and add that. I don't see any Twitter handles or any websites. I think I'm pretty much done over here. This was a great example. It actually works the way we wanted, and it can work for other cards as well. So we'll just go back to the app, and now in the submit button, all I'm going to do is just use the patch function to save it back to the Excel spreadsheet. And then once that is done, we'll just go to the Excel spreadsheet. We'll just make sure everything's there, and then, you know, that's the end of that. So let's jump back to the app itself. Okay, back in the app, all I got left is my submit button. Submit button right now is nothing older. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use my favorite, the patch function. You guys have seen my patch function videos. I've actually got two variations of the patch function. So I'll be doing a lot of copy and paste over here. It'll be in the blog itself, so you can, you know, copy and paste the formula. But I'll kind of walk you through that as well. So in the patch function here, I'm going to do a copy. So on select, let me just expand this out a little bit. And here's my formula. So I want to go ahead and update, and, you know, basically here's the context. Here's the formula. I'm just updating it to an existing, you know, temporary gallery. It's called add record, and then I'm going to go ahead and it's not a gallery actually. It's patching it directly to that Excel spreadsheet, and in that Excel spreadsheet, it's going to go ahead and save it to my the data over there. Now, one thing I did not do was I didn't make that connection, because I remember in the beginning I said I'm going to patch it to that. So here we go. I'm going to click on the add data. I'm going to go to my OneDrive for Business. And in my OneDrive for Business, I'm going to select my Excel spreadsheet. My Excel spreadsheet is actually, let me just make sure, I think it's in my Power Apps itself. I don't have it here. Let's go take a look to see, where are you? It's my OneDrive. I may just not have added it yet. Nope, I don't. So in my, I can actually put that in my Power Apps itself. In my Power Apps, let me go ahead and here's that spreadsheet. Going ahead and dropping that in, because remember in the beginning we just made two data connections, and I said at that point we're going to have to make another data connection. This is that data connection. So it's all done. I'll also give you a quick look at how that Excel spreadsheet is done. You'll have a copy of this, but in that Excel spreadsheet, this is what it is. Places where I can put full name, job title, company, and all this other good stuff. We're just going to go ahead and do that. I also put this thing called scanned info. What that scan info does is whatever you've scanned, it just goes ahead and grabs it and puts it in over here. So that way you don't miss anything. If you're willing to take this to the next level, one of the things you could do in your flow action is actually take that image itself, which you're getting, go ahead and save that somewhere else. You could save it in a SharePoint list. You could save it in a SharePoint, image library, something, somewhere. That way you even have a copy of the picture you took. Heck, you could even save that to Azure Blob Storage, or in an Azure the SQL database as well. Just save a copy of it. But that's something that you can work on, and I'm not emphasizing that over here. All right, so now that I added back over here, let's go back to the app itself, and I'm going to first let me make that data connection. So it was my data sources, add OneDrive in my Power Apps, and now I should see it, contact info. So in the contact info, I actually have a table, a worksheet called contact info, so I'm going to select that. And now that I have it, a lot of that error over here should go away. So let's select this one. So a lot of it did go away. So that part of the error went away. Basically, I'm just using the patch function to patch all this information, all these controls straight back into that spreadsheet over there. And we still have some of these areas over there, and I think I know what that is. It's just my control names are not correct. So I'm going to go to full name, and I'm going to start typing in full name, and that's what it is. Text input dot text. Same thing here. Postal address dot text input. And this is nothing new. You guys have been using patch functions before. I've got a whole bunch. I've got a full 2 actually blogs on patch, so you guys can play around with that, take a look at it. Plus, I'll provide this expression to you guys in the blog itself. So that's all I'm doing, just cleaning up some stuff. These column names, full name, post address, and everything, those come from the Excel spreadsheet. So just make sure you've got the correct name there. Almost done there. Website is good. And so what I do over here in the last piece, I want to pause and talk about that, is once the information is posted, it is posted to or saved, I'm just resetting all the fields. That way, just there's no previous things left over there. And especially since we are using the concatenate into a variable, I want to wipe off the variable. That's why I want to reset the variable, so that it, whatever is legacy information left over there, it should not save it back in that place in the past. So I'm just resetting it, and that's why I use this reset. So now that I have the correct names, I can just go ahead and do a copy and paste. Or in this case, actually, I can't copy and paste. I just need to yeah, so there's no actually auto checkbox here, but I'll just reset these names, which is reset the full name text, and the concatenate, I need to fix that. So there's one. Right, so fix the concatenate, I'm gonna fix the update one over here. Full name text, reset that. Then there is the postal address. Reset that. I'm just going in that order. I did the full name, I did the postal one, I did the email address. Phone number. Twitter. And what else? Website. And then this one, I can go ahead and actually get rid of that. I don't need that. But what I do need is to clear. Let me just type that in first. All right, so scanned images is where the information is getting stored in the collection, where all that information came in. I want to go ahead and clear that as well. So that's why in the last section I went ahead and did the clear section on that as well. So I think everything's good. Now we can go ahead and save it, publish it, and we're done. We'll just go ahead and do the final test. And then after the final test is done, we'll go to the OneDrive and we'll just make sure if that information is saved. So if I refresh it, you'll just see that that was 7 minutes ago. So now let's go back to the app and let's test it. So let me open up my see lonely screen. Open that up over here. I think it was already open, so let me exit out of that one. Open it up in my phone. I should see it as well. It's all right, we've got it. Let me open up my app. Click on the business card scan. I see the downloading, which means it's getting us a fresh copy. And now I'm going to click on scan. In the scan, let me just get a nice picture. Took a picture, sends it to Flow, so Flow goes ahead and sends information back. And now let's do that. So Chad Berg is a good name. Put that in over here. Company name was Microsoft. Select that. Put that name over there. Postal address. We had a few things. We had this one. Select that. Add postal address. That one. Select. Add postal address. Email address. Phone numbers. There's 2 of them, so I can just get 2 of them. And everything is good. So let's go ahead and click on submit. Submit looks like it's working. And after that, all of this should be refreshed, cleared. Went ahead and refreshed it. It didn't refresh our screens, our things over here, but we'll take a look at that. But the key thing at this point is, let me go back into my OneDrive. Said it just updated a few seconds, so we can click on that. And once we look at it, we should see our new information added over here. Chad's information should be here. And Chad's information is all over here. His name came in. He didn't have a job title. He didn't have a company, but we got his postal address, email address, phone numbers. Pretty much all that we selected came over here. Scanned info didn't come in, but we can grab that as well. But you guys have got the gist of it now. That the patch function, we've just missed a few things. We did reset all of it, but you got the whole gist of it. That in the app itself now, thanks to all the settings that we did, and thanks to all the flow that we built, this is how I went and built the app. Now you guys can go ahead and customize it and do a whole bunch of other things as well. That's completely up to you. But I hope that this walkthrough, which all the different steps that I showed, shows that this is how we do it. And as a reminder, we went ahead and made the connections, went ahead and build the app like I showed you, the flow piece, get the flow piece connected over here, and then just wire it all up with the patch functions and calling the flow and everything. So I hope this was helpful. I'll have all this available on the Power Users community and on the YouTube channel as well. And keep power apping. Thanks.